Good afternoon, this is Chief Meteorologist Alex Kirchner with another update from the 13 Weather Authority. So we are looking at the big story of the day, of course. That is the snow showers that are working through our backyard. Live look at NIU and DeKalb shows a snowy scene. As you can see, visibility definitely an issue the farther off you look because the snowfall is picking up. It is getting heavier, which as a result, travel conditions are worsening. As we take a live look at our WREX tower camera, you can see that as we look towards rural Winnebago County. Pretty hard to see down the road. It is awfully snowy, but what's helping a little bit is temperatures slightly above freezing. So as a result, a lot of that snow is able to melt a little bit. That's why impacts have been lessened some. We're thankful that the temperatures have been staying slightly above freezing. So that's helping cut down on some of these snow accumulations. Also means slightly better roads for you. That said, the afternoon hours probably going to be the worst of the storm. We're still expecting snowfall rates to be over an inch an hour, especially in the spots where visibility is down at or under a mile. So we're starting to get that heavier snow to work back into our backyard. We're talking about an inch an hour here, which means the snow piles up fast. Visibility is an issue. We can have all sorts of impacts all throughout the remainder of the afternoon. So as you look at the current road conditions, most of our backyard is mostly covered in snow and ice. That dark purple Ogle County towards Galena, that is all completely covered with snow. So even though earlier on today roads are just a little slushy, we're now looking at a lot of that sticking and starting to pile up as that heavier snow comes into our backyard. So really be careful driving around the remainder of this afternoon and into this evening. If you were watching us yesterday, we mentioned it several times. The evening commute going to be the worst of this storm. So we still got a ways to go before we start to see this wind down. And here's the reason why. Look at exact track radar and note how the colors are darkening up. Those darker bands are indications of heavy snowfall. So we're starting to get that snow to pick back up again in intensity. As you can see, it's not widespread. We're not seeing it all the way across our backyard. There are some spots where the snow is getting light again, but we are getting more and more of these bands where we'll get bursts of heavy snow. Road conditions quickly worsen before they improve briefly, and we'll just keep going back and forth like that throughout the remainder of the day. Because what's going to happen here is, yes, we're getting some bands of heavy snow in now. Take a look what's ongoing across Iowa. This area here, that still has to work its way eastward over the course of this afternoon and evening. And there are some spots in eastern Iowa that have exceeded 5-7 inches of snowfall. So we may not have seen a ton yet in our backyard, but a lot of that still has to work through before this storm is over, which is why that evening commute is still likely going to have some major impacts to it. Winter storm warnings then remain in effect until midnight, may take until late tonight before this storm clears out. Let's get over to Future Track. That does show those bands of heavier snow popping up every so often over the remainder of the afternoon. I would think by 5 o'clock, a lot of that should be winding down, which is definitely helpful. You can see here between 5 and 7, still snowing, but it's lighter snowfall. Then between about 7 to 10, snow starting to exit. By midnight, we are dry. Not done with the impacts just yet, though. The wind speeds could be a concern later this evening. So I think if anything, these snow totals may end up more on the lower end of our scale, but we still could get well into the 6-inch range or higher as these bursts of heavier snow continue to pick up throughout the remainder of the day. So don't let that catch you off guard. That is going to be an issue as we go into this evening. On top of that, wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour this evening. So blowing and drifting snow, definitely a concern as we go throughout the overnight hours, so that could be a travel impact as we see the snow move out. Blowing and drifting snow, definitely an issue, so be careful driving around after dark as that snow starts to exit. On top of all that, like I mentioned, inch an hour this afternoon. Shovel early and often because we still are looking at a lot of wet, dense snowfall. It's going to be hard to move. The power line issue may be lessening here, but still there could be some sporadic power issues with all this snow kind of clumping and sticking to those power lines. So just make sure you're aware of that and be ready to go just in case there are any power issues, but thankfully haven't had any widespread reports of those. And we're not done yet. On top of that, Wednesday night could pick up another inch of snow, and then we're keeping an eye on Friday. A round of heavy snow showers may be possible yet again, and extra windy compared to what we're seeing right now. So major impacts possible later this week. We'll continue to track these rounds of snow, plus the ones coming through tonight. We'll have updates tonight at 4.